Hello everybody, I'm Matt and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Absolute Evil Issue 1 by Al Ewing, Giuseppe Camuncoli, Stefano Nessi and Romulo Fajardo Jr. The Absolute Universe gets a huge set of revelations and deep dives in this special one-shot that kicks off back in the past of 1951, where the Hawkman, a spy for the Un-American Activities Committee, tells the gathered group that he has a myriad of information for them regarding the so-called commie rats he's been working with. Okay, so Ewing is going right for it here with some big reveals. Firstly, that the JSA did indeed exist in this world in some form, and Hawkman is a dirty traitor and he's ratting them out to the government, which I guess is this world's version of the events following World War II, where the JSA was disbanded after the government demanded all of their secret identities, and they didn't want to hand them over. But instead of doing that somewhat willingly, it looks like here they're all going to get got by the government or some shadowy organization. It's a neat bit of world building, and we haven't spent a lot of time in the very past of this new world, and I'd love to spend some more time here and getting to explore early heroes and World War II and what was that like in this world. In the present, Oliver Queen practices his archery, getting a call from Roy Harper, his old friend. Ewing gives us a real neat rundown on this world's Oliver and how he's pretty much exactly the same hero as in the Prime universe. He's got the Arrow Cave, he's got a gold arrow car which has a really cool James Bond-esque ejector seat in it too. He's got everything that sets him up as the Green Arrow, and that is effectively what he is in this world, it seems. Things seem to be going well with Roy and Oliver until Oliver reveals that he is going after Jubal Slade, an extremely deep comic pool, as Jubal was once a slumlord Oliver and Green Lantern tangled with way back in Green Lantern issue 76 from 1971, 1970, the early 70s. Ewing completely reimagines Jubal though, and pretty much just makes him Jeffrey Epstein. It's not outrightly said, but it's alluded to, with Oliver citing how he's got an island, off the book flight records, there's kids going to the island. It's Jeffrey Epstein basically. And because of that, Oliver feels compelled to do something about him, even though he has all of the cops and the courts on his payroll. I'm really surprised at just how much Oliver is like his Prime Earth counterpart. Like, it's exactly the same character. If anything though, maybe this guy's a bit more liberal, which is just awesome. I like that he's just not, mincing any words here and is going straight for the throat for these guys. Oliver is sick of having all of this money and not doing anything with it, and he wants to cut the rot from their souls and make a difference in the world. Across the world, Hector Hammond fields a call from Jubal Slade, who knows Oliver Queen is gunning for him. Hammond doesn't think he should worry since Queen isn't going to be able to do too much, and besides, they could just buy him off. Hector is stopped by a guard in the building he enters, who tells him he's not allowed into the meeting he's going to attend with any electronic devices. Hammond decides to pull the old "do you know who I am" shtick rich people always do, but the guard does not budge, being this is a matter of national security. Begrudgingly, Hector hands over the phone, promising to talk to the guard's boss once he's in the meeting. I really love how petty Hector is. Ewing has been writing him really well over in the Absolute Green Lantern book, and just how much of a shitheel he is compared to the other villains we've seen in this universe is just so good. It really sets him apart as well, because he has this kind of over-the-top, kind of charismatic attitude, whereas all the other guys are rather serious and like down to earth and like know what the hand is they have been dealt, where Hector just doesn't really care for any of that and just wants to throw money at every single problem. He's the typical rich villain guy. Hector enters the room and is met by Veronica Cale, Ra's al Ghul, Eleanor Thorne, and Joker. Hammond tries to play Cale leading the meeting off as a joke since he's a fucking misogynist as well, and he hates women with any semblance of power, but Ra's shuts him down, telling him this isn't a place for his games and he needs to shut up. The rest join in and tell Hammond to know his place as Cale gets on with the meeting, reminding them how all in 1939, Wesley Dodds got rich from his parents' anesthetic compound patents, the same compounds the mysterious masked detective Sandman would begin using in his sleep gun. Cale knows that Dodds was the Sandman, and so did others, as Wesley was soon shot and killed not long after his debut. The compounds were taken and then suddenly re-emerged in the hands of military assets, who developed it into a nerve nerve gas weapon. I love we're getting to see how all of the old heroes succumb to the said world of Darkseid and how they're all taken out of the equation and how it all sort of comes back to the government and this cabal that Darkseid has set up. I don't think he's directly set it up, but it's because of his actions has this cabal been set up. It's got a lot of similarities to what's going on over in the Ultimate Universe now with the Maker and his little cabal, whereas that universe killed pretty much all of their old heroes before they could actually become heroes. You know, Black Bolt was taken out of the equation while he was just a child, and you know, all of these sorts of things happened before the big thing could happen in the heroes' lives. Here we're actually getting to see shreds of the JSA, and these heroes did exist and then tried to make something of a life in this world as a hero and just were immediately cut down because of it. In that regard, I feel it's a little bit more effective than the Ultimate Universe. The Ultimate Universe is still great, but I really like how they in this universe there's that sense of like hope. They have that hope that we're making a difference, we're a hero, and then just something comes along like this, you know, Sandman just gets murdered out of nowhere because the government wants him murdered. It's such an interesting idea and kind of fits really well in with Darkseid's whole hate for hope sort of deal. He doesn't like the hope and wants it extinguished from the world. Kale's briefing continues, revealing how in 1942 Gotham, Ted Grant, a famed boxer, is framed for murder. So to clear his name, he becomes the Wildcat and beats the hell out of criminals to clear his name. Ted's work starts small and gets larger when he overhears a factory inspector taking a bribe from a munitions magnate. Suddenly though, Ted becomes rich and comes into some money and stops being Wildcat, opening a gym where he trains a couple of champion boxers before dying in his sleep at aged 81. Kale reveals that the factory was making the nerve gas that was stolen from Wesley, the same gas that won them World War II. So technically, Ted taking that bribe was the most heroic thing he ever did. So I'm kind of getting a pattern here with most of these heroes are either going to be killed, bribed away, or, you know, turned into villains themselves. And that becomes kind of the norm here, you know, just throw money at the problem, you know, the problem will go away once, you know, a threat is made, something like that. We saw that in the opening issues of Absolute Batman where Black Mask offered Batman a lot of money to just stop being Batman and to just go away. But these new heroes like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all these heroes can't be bought, and so these tactics that the Cabal are using needs to change and be more drastic. That's what the crux of this meeting is to figure out, like, what do we do about these heroes? Next, Kale talks about Iron Monroe, stuntman turned hero who used his powers to fight for truth and justice, but since he wouldn't name names to the Un-American Activities Committee and rat out the other heroes, he got the boot, along with also criticizing McCarthyism, something that led to him being retired to a Nevada desert shack, which soon became the target for nuclear weapons testing thanks to a paperwork mishap, leading to Iron Monroe being killed by the blasts. Kale knows that these are just some of hundreds of examples throughout history of people who acted out of the status quo, and the status quo dealt with them. That is, until right now. This is what I was saying before. The Cabal have gotten like too comfortable and complacent at all of these heroes popping up, and we'll just throw some money at it, it'll go away. But now they have heroes who can't be bought and who can't be gotten rid of with money or assassins or bombs. So they are kind of scrambling to come up with a plan to kill off these things before they get any ideas of forming a team or maybe a certain league. Veronica brings up the Gateway incident with the Tetracide, citing how the monster was dangerous, but it wasn't the most dangerous thing in that city that day. The Wonder Woman was, as she came from hell, killed the Tetracide, and more concerningly, she actually took command of the event, coordinating their own troops on the ground, who deferred to her almost immediately for some reason instead of having her arrested. Veronica next talks about the Superman and how he's violently disrupting Lazarus's operations in Brazil. She cites how a trained agent, Lois Lane, ignored Brainiac's algorithms and wrote her own after-action report directly instead of what Brainiac wanted her to. She knows that this is becoming a trend and it's beginning to rear its ugly head, and it continues on with the Batman. A possible man, a possible bat, they aren't too sure, but the being somehow vanishes around Gotham and he's built his resources directly into the city itself. Joker knows that he didn't take the money like Ted Grant would have before him, and Kale knows that along with what's happening with the green-powered people in Evergreen, the Speedster in Fort Fox, and a myriad of other problems, things are beginning to escalate, and while these heroes are dangerous, The real threat they pose is minuscule in compared to the inspiration they give to the people, like how peacemaker agents like Lois disobey orders, or how seasoned cops like Barbara Gordon refuse to open fire on the Batman. Kaylee implores the others that they need to pull together in order to sort these threats out, but Hector isn't sold on this, knowing that this is all just to get money out of them for the government, but no one is actually scared of any of these people since they've always handled them and they'll continue to do so. Raish thinks that Hammond does need help with the situation, but Hammond thinks that he actually got rid of the Green Lantern one, so he doesn't actually need Raish or Lazarus's help. Raish wants Kale to show them, so she calls in the Hawkman, who has the dead body of Oliver Queen, which is thrown onto the meeting table in front of all of the onlookers. Okay, so I didn't actually expect Oliver to be killed in this issue. I expected him to kind of go along, and maybe it happens a little later on and I guess Roy takes over, but I didn't think it would happen in this issue. I said before, he did feel a bit too similar to his Prime Universe counterpart, and I guess that was probably the point. Like, he was too similar and he was getting too big of a blip on the map, so they had to deal with him, and hence why he was clipped. I gotta say though, the new Hawkman design we see here, compared to the one we see at the start of the issue, which is very 1950s era, with the mask he was wearing in this one here rules. I love the old school leather jacket outfit mixed with the space alien like helmet. The actual costume, the leather jacket and the leather pants, actually reminds me of the Black Hawk's costume, so I wonder if there's a connection there in this universe between them, like the Black Hawks were actually the Hawk people or something. Raish tells Hammond that this is how they will solve the problems, not with bribes or offers or jokes. Thorne wants to know what the point of this is, thinking it's some sort of blackmail or threat towards them, but Kale knows it's more of a demonstration of what power can do for money, and what money can do for power in return. She knows that it took them all considerable effort and resources to sort out all of their respective problems, from Evergreen to Gateway City to what's happening over in Brazil. But what if it only took one phone call next time, which Kale knows will definitely happen. Thorne doesn't like the alliance idea since she doesn't want to be in anyone's pocket, and they aren't friends after all. Joker takes the floor, wanting to share with them some research from a particle physics lab he owns, warning them that if any of this information gets out of it, he will act accordingly. He explains how everyone knows about the God particle and how they thought it was the final piece of the quantum puzzle, but his people recently found, thanks to their Large Hadron Collider, another piece, a final piece, a better piece to that puzzle, the Omega particle, and the studying of it revealed truths about the world that no one knew before this. Joker cites how it's got a spiritual and moral dimension to it, and Thorne thinks that this particle somehow understands good and evil, thinking that he's joking, but Raish reminds her that the man never jokes. Joker explains the forces of their universe trend in one direction, and now that includes societal forces too. So with the emergence of all of these heroes disrupting that flow, they have a moral standing to right the river and keep everything in its place. The explanation of the heroes disrupting the very forces of this world is really an interesting one that, when told by Joker here, makes it seem like these guys think that they are all the heroes and think that Batman, Superman, all those other heroes are the villains. They think they're the ones disrupting the good thing they got going here, and they are, but I like it's a neat inverse where the villain has been totally bought in by their own bullshit and they think that they are completely right. And I like the added layer here where they literally have a thing from God, from their God Darkseid, the creator of this universe, telling them that they are right. So it makes them even more justified in what they are doing. It's thoroughly interesting take on the whole villain-hero dynamic. Joker begins starting to rant about how this isn't all by chance, it's by design, and the world is not just by that design. He calls what Oliver Queen did by standing against them an injustice, one that must be fought, and with their God on their side, they cannot fail. Ewing delivers probably one of the Absolute Universe's biggest and best reveals here, as Oliver's dead body is dragged from the room as Joker continues his speech, knowing that they cannot be friends since that would be an insult to each other, but they can be allies, and they can ensure the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, for they are the Justice League. The building they meet in is revealed to be the Absolute Hall of Justice, and this group of villains are this world's Justice League. I guess ruining a lot of people's theories that the Justice League, Batman, Superman, and all that would be formed very soon. And it has been formed, it's just not who you think it is, and it makes total sense for this universe. A universe created by a villain. The villains would think that they are the right guys, that they are the heroes, that they are the Justice League. They wouldn't be the Legion of Doom. I do wonder wonder though if this means the heroes, the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, will use the name Legion of Doom and try and take that name as their own. Also, what kind of havoc would this play with in a potential crossover? Like, oh, the Prime heroes are going to go and meet the Justice League of the Absolute Universe. Oh, the Justice League of the Absolute Universe is all the villains, but they think they're the good guys because they're explaining how God is on their side. And oh man, that could lead to so many cool sequences with these heroes. Al Ewing has really pulled out a great reveal here, and I can't wait to see how it affects the universe going forward. Ewing isn't done with the reveals there, oh no, as Mirror Master comes to meet with Brainiac, who's been watching this entire meeting via Ra's al Ghul's glasses. It's revealed that Mirror Master has stolen Joker's research for the alien, and Mirror Master needs to know how this all connects and reflects, and Brainiac agrees, knowing that Hammond balances out Ra's and the Hawkman, thanks to all of their egos clashing, while Thorne's skepticism matches Kale's true believer attitude. However, the Joker still remains an enigma to him, prompting Brainiac to want to search for his secrets. Brainiac, having glimpsed into Mirror Master's mirror world, knows that there is someone worth investing in to complete this Justice League and kind of balance everything out, and he wants to give them a call. Elsewhere, a man sits alone with his wife on their farm, taking in the sunset over a green tea. The man knows that he used to be an angry young man, envious of Allah's power and popularity, but right now he doesn't want even a drop of that. His phone buzzes and he excuses himself as the man is revealed to be Lex Luthor, who wonders how he can be of assistance. Finally, Lex Luthor here is in the Absolute Universe. He's completely different to what I assumed, since we know LexCorp does exist in this world. We've seen it in the background of some shots of Metropolis. Makes me wonder, maybe someone else is running the company, maybe his father's around, maybe it's his sister or mother, who knows? There could be multiple Luthors running around in this world. But I love this reveal that, like, seemingly because Superman wasn't around, or, you know, he wasn't there for him to take his frustrations out on, Lex kind of calmed down. He kept his hair, he grew a beard, he's got a wife, he's got implied children. Children are mentioned here as well. He's living out on a farm, I imagine, in Kansas. Maybe he grew up in Smallville as well, like is usually the origin they go with. So there's the boundless things they can do with this Lex Luthor. I'm so intrigued, and I kind of feel as well the setup here is obviously Brainiac is talking about finding someone else and it shows Lex, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think Lex in this world is maybe gonna kind of be like the Earth 3 Lex, or Alexander Luthor, where he's a good guy, well, at least a good guy in terms of Earth 3 heroes. So I imagine maybe that's sort of the thing, and he ends up helping some of these heroes maybe, or going up against the Cabal himself. I'm intrigued to see what Ewing and whoever else is going to be writing this Lex. I assume Jason Aaron in a upcoming arc of Superman will be doing it as well, but I'm intrigued to see where he's going to turn up, because all of these heroes could turn up in each other's books, and all these characters can turn up in each other's books. Superman's fighting Ra's al Ghul at the moment, so who knows? All cards are off the table, you know, anything can happen, and I'm so looking forward to it. Absolute Evil issue 1 was super heavy on the world building and setup, something which this universe has been doing really well in little chunks, but it was nice to get a good smattering of it that covers all of the books. I love the dynamic Ewing wrote for the villains and how their own view of the world is skewed thanks to it being a world literally created on hate and violence, and one that has told them they have literally got a word from God that they are just, and because of that they have created the Justice League. The final reveals with the Justice League and Lex Luthor were just the icing on an already delicious cake of an issue, and I can't wait to see where all of these threads lead our Absolute books in the coming year. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.